Bonjour Français 3. Let's talk about some verbs. Class, this week we are going to be continuing with our review of present tense verbs, and some of them that are very important include avoir and faire. With avoir and faire, the French have quite a few idiomatic expressions. Those are expressions that don't translate word for word into English. So let's take a look at a few of those. I think you know most of these already. Starting with this one. Qu'est-ce qu'elle fait? Elle dit, je fais mes devoirs. And bear with me, I am trying to write on the screen using the mouse. I kind of did it there. Oh wait, no, I spelled it wrong though. Oh, zut alors. This is why we're reviewing for me as well. Je fais mes devoirs. C'est le verbe faire. Qu'est-ce que c'est? To want to or to feel like. J'ai envie de sortir. So here's one that uses the verb avoir. J'ai envie de sortir. What are we going to use for these? J'ai soif. Très bien. J'ai envie d'un soda. Or maybe j'ai besoin d'un soda. J'ai envie means I feel like. J'ai besoin means I need. So that could also be the case here. Et voilà. Ah, do you know these? Tu as raison. If you knew it, tu as raison. You're right. Il fait beau. Voilà. Alors, nous faisons une promenade. Très bien. Now, these are just a few of the idiomatic expressions that use avoir and faire. To see a more complete list, you just have to refer to your textbook. Here it is. Page R3 has quelques expressions avec avoir. Let's review those together, shall we? Avoir chaud, avoir froid, avoir faim, avoir soif, avoir raison, avoir tort, avoir sommeil, avoir peur, avoir de la chance, avoir 17 ans, 15 ans, 16 ans, avoir mal, avoir besoin de, et avoir envie de. Of course, if you're using any of these expressions, you have to conjugate the verb avoir. So, fortunately, that's right here, also on page R3. J'ai, tu as, il a, elle a, on a, nous avons, vous avez, ils ont, elles ont. So if I am hungry, j'ai faim. If he is sleepy, il a sommeil. If we are scared, nous avons peur. Whenever you use these expressions, you're going to conjugate that verb. Let's take a look at the expressions with faire. Notice that with faire, a lot of the times you use it with do or de la or de to talk about doing a sport or studying a thing or doing an activity. Faire du ski, faire de l'algèbre, faire du camping, faire de la natation, faire des maths, faire du théâtre. And of course, some more idiomatic expressions. Faire attention, faire les courses, faire des achats, faire la cuisine, faire la vaisselle, faire ses devoirs, faire ses valises, faire une promenade à pied, en auto, à vélo, faire un tour, faire une randonnée, faire un voyage, faire un séjour. Just like with the expressions above with avoir, you have to use these conjugated in a sentence. Class, for example, je fais, tu fais, il fait, elle fait, nous faisons, vous faites, ils font, elles font, moi je fais pipi dans la toilette. There's your conjugation of faire. So use it. If you are telling someone else to, hey, you, pay attention, Fais attention. If you are going shopping for the groceries, je fais les courses. If you are making dinner together in your family, nous faisons la cuisine. And if your little brother has to do the dishes afterwards, il fait la vaisselle. Remember those conjugations. Ce sont très, très importants. Class, this week we are mostly focusing on these expressions as well as the rest of the big five. The big five being être, avoir, aller, faire, et venir. So, go over these. Make sure you have them memorized, especially avoir and être. Super important that those just come naturally to you, that you have repeated them enough times that you can use them without really having to think about it. Because moving forward, when we start to work on the passé composé, avoir and être are going to be important. But of course, don't neglect aller, don't neglect faire or venir. These are also important verbs for you to know. And additionally this week, we are going to be revisiting some of our friends here. I think we need to. We need to revisit sortir and friends. Notice sortir, partir, dormir, servir, which isn't used quite as often, but there it is. Those are not conjugated like a regular IR verb. Those are conjugated a little differently. Je sors, tu sors, il sort. Nous sortons, vous sortez, ils sortent. These are all their own thing, but they're all very similar. So don't get them confused with IR verbs. Remember that group is different. And here's another group that goes together. Vouloir, for example. Je veux, I want. Tu veux, il veut. Nous voulons, vous voulez, ils veulent. Notice how similar vouloir is to pouvoir. Memorize those endings. And also notice that they are shoe verbs, that nous and vous are different than the rest of them. And if this were written out in the little grid, you know what I'm talking about when I say a shoe verb. You would see that nous and vous are the laces of the shoe. They tie back to the infinitive. And devoir, same thing. A couple down here, prendre and mettre, we didn't really focus on those, but don't neglect those either. There are lots of verbs to learn, and of course verbs to review, regular ER, IR, and RE verbs. I know you can do it. Look at these pages. Pause this video if you need to. Practice, go back, see how you do. All right? I wish you well this week. We're going to do it with our regular and irregular present tense verbs. And I'll see you in class. Au revoir.